Call to order Tuesday, July 5th. Roll call. Or no, pledge allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Mayor Nathan Anderson.
Here.
Troy Boone.
Here.
Troy Doty.
Here.
Will Wolke.
Here.
Art Schott.
Here.
Susan Swagan.
Here.
Mike Peterman.
Here. Is there a motion to adopt the agenda?
Doing so much. Second.
Motion by Doden and seconded to adopt the agenda. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Adopted. Minutes from June 20th. Is there a motion to approve June 20th minutes?
Doing so much.
Motion by Doden and seconded to approve the June 20th, 2022 minutes. Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes approved. Public hearing. Beresford Volunteer Fire Department one-day temporary malt beverage license, July 31st at the tractor court. We're due.
Open the hearing
One.
and just make a motion to approve it then.
Should I make a motion for Beresford Volunteer Fire Department for one temporary malt beverage license on July 31st, 2022 for the Beresford tractor pull from the whole day? Tractor pull.
So there, just one day. Motion by Schott, seconded to approve the one-day temporary malt beverage license, July 31st, 2022 for the Beresford tractor. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Visitors to be heard.
Prepared. So you understand what we're going through. Okay, the senior citizens are appearing to request funds to fund our stove, and on the first page you'll see the what do I want to say, the citation that we got, and we were told that it had the big stove in the kitchen has to be replaced, and
I got one question. I'll interrupt. It says right here, oven should be repaired or replaced.
no, we had somebody in here about 4 years ago that cleaned out the jets and stuff, and he said that there's no more way that they can get parts for that stove. It is 50 years old. 52. So, it has to be replaced, and everything, the newer stoves out there are gonna be more efficient. So hopefully we'll save money there on electricity and stuff. And let's see, the first one was a bid that I got on from the restaurant design equipment up in Sioux Falls. Now this does not, all these bids do not include any kind of the hookups or cables or anything like that, so that's going to be extra. This is actually just for the price of the stove. I kind of put in some of the features and stuff. And on the next page, I got another bid, and this was off the internet, where it says Cooking Performance Group, and that one was bid out at $35.99, and they had the price of the hookups there, $114.99. And the labor that I got down there for installing was off of the first person's quote that they sent in, because they said it cost $85 an hour per person, and he said it'd take 2 people. And then we were also told that the hood on the stove is not working, because we tried it and it's not even sucking up gas. And what we found out was that the hood should have grates and a filter on it, and it does not. So somebody down the line has removed that, and so all the grease and stuff has sucked into the fan part, and it's just coated with grease. And that we have no idea how long that filter and stuff has been missing. So that fan is no good. And let's see. And the hood I found a hood for like $1,800, but that was on the internet.
From the same company, Darling?
Yeah, the same.
And they have free shipping.
Yeah, and they have free shipping. The first one has a lot of, they're going to charge us for freight and stuff to bring the stove down. Now, on the back I've included our financial statement from last month. And as you can see, the $2,500 grant from the BAF and the grant from the city has already been designated for lights. We haven't used it yet because our lighting electrician hasn't come in yet. So it's still there, so we can't use that for anything. It's already been designated. And our average cost on more or less our budget for the year usually runs around $950 a month. So you subtract that $5,500 from that $13,488. So we're going to need the rest of that money more or less to keep the senior center going. But in the meantime, we've been trying to find things to offset the cost. We are planning a pancake fundraiser on July 17th with the VFW, and the VFW Club and American Legion have offered to make some kind of a donation also to the stove. And I called the lady at Active Generations today. She told me that there is money available through Meals on Wheels. She was supposed to get back to me this afternoon, but she evidently got busy, so.
The Congregate Meals on Wheels program is run at the senior center on a daily basis. That's why she contacted them.
Yeah, and that's why we have to have the ovens to keep the food warm. So, and she did say that because we don't cook there, that we don't need a commercial oven. But I went through and did a bunch of estimates on regular stoves and what it would cost to get the stove and put in 2 separate units to hook the gas up would almost come out to the same as what those 2 estimates are. So we're kind of not looking at getting 2 separate stoves, and I cannot find a regular gas stove that has a griddle to it. So basically, can't think of anything else.
Is it too late in the year to try to fly in Beresford Foundation to see if we could get some money from them, or is it too late in the year?
It's too late.
Yeah, we gotta wait till next cycle,
Yeah.
cause she got the check
We already-
this year
We get
for,
stove down right now, it's tagged out.
no, they said that they would allow us to use it until we get it replaced.
Yeah,
And so, but otherwise, it's like one step from being condemned.
Okay, I got two questions, or three, okay. The total amount, and then how about if we could have a rough estimate, maybe if the DFW, what they're gonna donate, and maybe if you could get something from the grant.
I called the VFW club and they are having a meeting July 17th or something like that, or 11th. And they'll discuss it then, and he couldn't give me any kind of a estimate or
And
anything.
how long is it gonna take to order a stove? I mean, if
Well,
you order to put in the stove,
according to the internet one, and that's the one we're kind of looking at, that 3,500 one, it'll take, well, they said something about next day shipping.
It's available right now,
Yeah, it's available right now. And then it's free shipping.
so maybe a couple of weeks, I don't know.
Why don't you just take the money the 3,000 that we gave you and use that towards the stove and then do the lights next year?
If that meets with your guys' approval, we can surely
I don't
do
know if any of
that.
our stuff is tied to anything. They give us a letter of explanation, but there's no reason I can switch it if it's something like this, is there?
Not somewhere.
Any idea?
No.
Jerry, according to terms of our lease, the city owns the building, do we own the stove as well?
One thing I can see is it says, as a part of their lease, they are to preserve the premise appliances.
Well, it's preserved, in other words, maintained, but it doesn't say that they're responsible to replace.
Yeah, it doesn't mention that in the lease. Those, well, like the hood, that's basically attached to
Right.
the building.
Yeah.
Do you cook in there? Do you actually do any of the
We
cooking?
use the oven more than anything, but we do have potluck once a month, and some people bring stuff in to cook on the burners. So the pilot lights run all the time for the
And the
oven
new
and the
stove
burners.
would not have an open flame. It would be electronic ignition, so there would, because when people walk in there, they say, "Jeez, it smells like gas," and it does.
Yeah,
And so then she called the gas company, and then they gave their opinion on the stove. It's emitting too much. And they said if somebody remained in here closed up for very long, they'd be sick. And we said, well, there's people going in and out when we're here, and you do. I mean, I would say my eyes, and I get a headache at times, not every time. But people who rent or give a donation also use the stove, but we use it every day for our lunches. Mostly the oven, but for any fundraiser we have, we cook on it.
Is that VAF grant designated just for the lights?
Yep.
That is designated for the
Yeah.
lights, so you can't spend that on anything else.
no, but you're talking 2,500?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely designated, that they're very strict on that, so.
Okay.
Have you talked to them?
No, we haven't went to them yet, no. That's, you never thought of that.
What type of lights are you upgrading just to LED type lights?
Yeah, all of them.
There might be some grants available through our Missouri River. Have you talked to Mike about that? Maybe to see if you're upgrading, there might be something for retrofitting existing lighting, especially in commercial business. So it wouldn't cover all of it, but it probably help pay for part of it.
Who's doing the lights?
What?
Who's doing the lights?
And Scott.
Okay.
And she has an estimate from him for 4,900 and something for all the lights in the place. He said that you can't get the ballasts anymore for what we have, and so we have to upgrade eventually, but we had gotten those 2 grants for that originally.
I personally wouldn't care about the money that we gave them if they want to use it towards an oven instead of light.
I agree with you. It's fine with me.
Well, we've already kind of warned our members that they might have to start forking over a little bit of their green cash instead of letting it sit and get moldy. So, so they're aware of that. And they know how much this thing costs, so we're having a meeting Friday afternoon, so, they will
Well, if you
know.
take that 3,000 that we gave you, there's 2/3 of it.
Right,
So,
right,
And if the VFW kicks
yeah,
in, then we could have it covered, I
and
think.
then, like I said, I haven't found out what we're getting from,
And I'd maybe talk to the Beresford Foundation and see if you can change what you're gonna use it for and see if that can cover the rest of it.
and then
I
get the.
would assume they probably have some type of method to change it.
Put the lights off till next year, this seems more urgent.
Yeah,
Yes, it does.
Did the gas company say anything about a rebate for upgrading your stove?
We haven't checked into that yet, but
They might.
Mid-American,
Yeah.
yeah, when I called them today, they had a deal in there that said, if you're looking for grants or funding or whatever, that they do have stuff available, but it was one of those ladies, far away, I couldn't talk to anybody exactly right there, so. But I do know one of the guys on Mid-American Energy, so I'll talk to him.
Can I
some,
make a request? So our next meeting would be after your fundraiser, and maybe you would know more about what the VFW was willing to donate. Would you be willing to come back at our meeting on the 18th
Sure.
and give us an update? Because if it's our responsibility, if we own the stove, and if it's not safe, then we have an obligation to help out. But, maybe see where you're at with donations from your members and the fundraiser and the VFW, and maybe you'll be surprised. Maybe a benefactor will come up and just drop a big check in that donation, that free will donation at your pancake feed or something. So
Yeah, I think we could do that.
I'd love to just hear back where you're at in 2 weeks. But I would think in 2 weeks, is it okay to wait 2 weeks to order a stove?
If we go on the internet one, we should be okay, so.
I mean, I would be willing to even approve fronting the dollars now, as long as you guys agree to continue to fundraise for the rest of the year for it,
Right.
to offset that.
Yeah.
Your lights thing, do you have lights that are out now because you can't get ballast?
Yeah, we got one
That's
in the
really-
women's bathrooms.
Yeah, you really,
Yeah,
can't wait a whole long
No.
time to do that either, but maybe you can do bits and pieces of
well,
that
that's
for
what we
now.
were thinking of doing, yeah.
is your, deadline for the next year's budget starting now, July,
And we'll approve that budget in September.
in September? But we can come in and request it for next year,
Right.
starting in July.
I'll be sending you some paperwork.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay. Well, I thank you for
Well,
listening to us.
Yeah, I mean, when I'm reading
Yeah.
the lease agreement, it's ambiguous, so I kind of think the city's responsible for the facilities and the appliances, and you're just responsible to maintain them. Is that how I read it? Am I reading that right?
Yeah, I mean,
So
it certainly doesn't say who owns or who needs to replace it, it needs replacement, so.
It doesn't say like the hood, which is affixed to the property.
Yeah. Well, it says in here, appliances, they're just responsible to
Preserve,
Preserve.
maintain, and reasonable
Yeah.
working order.
preserve the premises, appliances, appurtenances in good condition, reasonable wear. It doesn't say they're responsible to replace or purchase, or just maintain. If this one was repairable for $1,000, I think that's under maintaining the premise, but this one's not repairable, so. I mean,
And I take it you probably haven't missed any rent payments.
does somebody have some information for Darla on the maybe, light rebate or whatever,
Yeah.
because we're switching? So we'd ask Mike
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll talk to Scott directly about it.
Okay,
He'll fill the application out,
okay,
so, I'll make sure it's,
just get with Darla and
Okay.
that'd be awesome.
When was this inspection done by Beresford?
Oh, when, it
We
was,
didn't put down the date,
he didn't put down the date, it was like a week ago,
Okay.
Yeah, we could,
or 10 days ago.
But he didn't shut it off and lock the gas
No,
up.
he-
It's okay.
I begged him not to, because
Yeah.
we do use it. I said, do you have, and he said, I can let you use it, but I would highly recommend replacement.
We were talking about the hood. Did you guys get a quote from somebody on the hood or just, this is just the part?
I got.
She got it.
Yeah,
Well, it was handwritten in here, I don't know
Yeah,
if it's something in writing
yeah, 1899, something.
for
Yeah.
the parts.
No, for the whole.
All the good.
Who was that from?
That was on the internet.
Right, we got the install, who does that?
I called Mid-American Energy, they don't do it, so, the people that, on that first quote, they would come down and install and everything, but, we'd have to find somebody.
Stove. I'm talking about for the hood.
Yeah.
The hood's gonna be a bigger deal. That's mechanical fastened to the structure. You might have to require new piping going out, who knows what that all
Yeah.
looks like.
Not good, I guess.
That could be a bigger deal than just $1,800, that could be $4,000 or $5,000.
Well, that's, yeah,
Oh,
so.
yeah,
we'll
you're
look
right.
more- We'll look
We
more
didn't take
into
that part out, but,
Or more.
Because the gentleman that gave me the quote on this first quote from Restaurant Design, he said that he would have to send his engineer down to look at that hood and get all the measurements and everything. And they would design it right there on the spot, so. Yeah,
But you don't
and I didn't get a
technically-
bid from him on that.
You don't technically need a commercial stove for the functions that you use, so you wouldn't technically need to the code commercial hood either, just something to ventilate,
Something vent-
just like at
vent
home, just ventilating the smoke out a little
You
bit.
could get by with just a small,
Well-
really right over top of the griddle, because that's the thing that they use.
You know what I'm saying, Jerry? You wouldn't have to be all spec'd out with fire suppression and all this stuff like you have to have at a restaurant.
Yeah.
You said 2,000 there, that's probably way underestimated, it's probably closer to 8,000 to 10,000 for that.
Oh, yeah.
And they gotta be inspected every 6 months and cleaned every 6 months too. Well, you know that one.
That's to maintain a licensed commercial kitchen.
Yeah.
right? Which this isn't, so
But, yeah.
we just want to vent to it. I mean, we'll get 4 $1,000, right, and hook them up in series.
Yeah, put 2 of them right now, one of each down, and, you know, put a wire out.
Well, I suspect that that's gonna be a bigger deal than you think. If that motor and everything, it might require new piping right through the roof. Who
Well,
knows?
I don't know who to
It
go
just, it
after.
always works out that way in my opinion. It's never as simple as it seems.
Do you?
Jerry, do you want to meet with her tomorrow and talk about the hood? And,
I'll go take a look at it,
yeah,
Okay,
we'll see the numbers.
thank you.
I'll give you a call. I got a couple
That's
things.
fine, I'll be
running
around,
now,
so
so.
that's perfect.
Okay, all right, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Have a great night.
No committee reports, department head, finance officer.
So last week, we received our 2021 audit from Tom Brooklyn and Post. It has been sent to the state for approval. I haven't heard back from them yet, but, it doesn't look like there's anything significant in there that we needed to fix for the year, which is great. Yeah. Good year.
We sent it out early, so if you guys had any questions, rather than trying to.
Yeah, there's the
Elaine, go
PDF.
through it word by word.
If you do not want
Just
yours,
to say we accepted it, so you put it in the minutes that the report was accepted, so.
and then also once I hear back from the state, it'll get posted on the city website.
Sure.
Shall I make a motion for 2021 audit report as Elaine stated?
Motion by Schott and seconded to accept the 2021 audit report. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
So the, I was just gonna give an update on the sealed bids for the on-sale liquor license. I have not heard from anybody. It has been published in the Star and the Beresford Republic, and there's, I think I even put it on the Facebook. Can't remember. Yeah, I did. There's nothing. And that bids were due at the next, 15th of July. Next week from Friday. Tell your friends.
So if we don't get a bid,
We have to,
You just
It's
leave
just
it
there.
until someone.
So if someone comes in and you're,
Do you have to set a price on it if it's not gonna be in a bid process?
there's a statutory minimum. I mean, I think it's what, 1,200?
I think that sounds about right.
And if they buy it, is there a
I think that's
requirement that they have to use it or?
That's the maximum.
Well, that would be the dollar per
person. That's how they
Population.
person, would be that 2,000, something like that.
And there's a statutory requirement that they have to use it or lose it, just like, medical marijuana.
It says in the first year you have to show it. They've been open a certain amount of time.
I'm not sure.
So someone came in and bought it for the minimum, and they didn't use it, we just don't renew it the next year.
Right.
Or offer the lease or whatever we call it. Okay. Alrighty then.
And the last thing I had was, last Wednesday, Jerry and I attended a budget training class in Sioux Falls. I am currently working on reconciling the June bank statements, just to get a good full 6 months, and then I'll start working with the department heads. I'll give them the worksheet to start putting their numbers in. We will present the draft, at the August 15th council meeting. And then the first reading will be held the first meeting in September, which is September 6th. And the second reading and adoption hopefully will be September 20th.
anybody have any questions?
city administrator.
Okay, certificates of participation, we did have a buyer for them. It took a little longer to sell than normal, he said, but I just kinda wanna give you an update. So we got, well, the funding was in place. I don't think we had to sign anything yet, we haven't closed on them yet, but, we did see a little higher interest rate than what, we have on our past issuance for about average coupon is 4.41, all inclusive cost is 4.748, so, with the net interest cost of 4.529, so somewhere in that 4.5 area is kind of where they came in at. I went back and just kind of looked at when we did our swimming pool back in 16, and it was about 1 point lower than that, so, we really didn't have a whole lot of choice. That's just the market right now, and we kind of knew that going into it, that they'd be higher. You know, in the past, sometimes it may take, I think this one was, we can refund it probably in about 8 years if we wanted to, somewhere in that area. So, if the interest rates go down, so, the funding will be in place, so I guess that's the biggest thing. I wanted to let you guys know that we are in a position that we can continue on with that project, and hopefully we'll come in, we have a $3 million construction fund is what we have, and quite a bit of money went to, a little over 300,000 went into a reserve account, and the rest were the cost of bonding to all the people involved in putting that whole process together, so.
Tom Grimmon also mentioned that, at the time that we go to close, they're gonna need a check for $19,717.75 too.
We can take that just out of the second, third penny extra funds there, so that's what we're gonna be used to pay this one anyhow.
So we will be, it'll be 8 years minimum before we.
Yeah, probably not until some they're callable, yeah.
Okay.
Did you say First Premier? You thought
Yes.
might have bought it? Okay, so. Usually we don't know, they probably spread it out to quite a few different places, but in this case, we really only have one that's real interested in it, so.
He said with the Juneteenth holiday, it was more difficult than what he had anticipated, so.
You don't have to have anything to do as far as approval or anything, more just information so you know where we're at, so that we can continue moving forward.
Questions? Good. Old business, request funding assistance from the Beresford ambulance for the Stryker power load system. And we had a meeting with the committee, what was it, about a month ago?
Yeah.
So I guess we're at the point now of deciding if we're going to provide some level of funding. What the recommendation is for that.
The committee, correct me if I'm wrong, the committee thought that, it'd be good to donate to them, and, I get the dollar amount, we thought maybe anywhere from 5 to 7.
I don't need.
Elaine, I had asked her to tell us what was already out of the contingency fund, and we technically haven't used any of our contingency fund as of right now. Everything else has been paid out of other departments, so.
What was the total again, do you remember?
They were asking for just over 10, I think it was.
And is this something where they could designate the beer sales, the tractor pull towards or something? That's fundraiser.
That's fire
That's fire
department.
department.
Splitting hairs, no difference there, isn't
Don't tell them
I mean, with my thoughts too on this is our police department help out with the ambulance, lifting those cots in, our fire department does. You know, if those guys are on our insurance, they say this could potentially help with work comp claims. Yes, I know it's a fee-based program, but we also have subsidies that go to other fee-based programs in town. So I'm not saying this would be a subsidy, an annual. I think that the committee also agreed that it would be a one-time donation.
Do you want a number?
I guess committee on what you guys think.
7 sounds all right.
5 sounds all right.
I'll say 5 too. I don't remember what, that meeting was over a month ago.
We just kind of set a range.
Even 5 is better than nothing.
5 is kind of number I thought.
That was the
5 is okay.
So I can make a motion to donate $5,000 to Beresford ambulance for the lift.
Second.
Motion by Svagan, seconded to approve $5,000 in funding assistance for the Beresford ambulance for the Stryker power load system. Any further discussion?
So this would be something that we would pay to them then after they've ordered it or
I think they've
purchased
already
it?
ordered it.
Okay.
And I probably should state in there that it should probably come out of contingency fund.
That's what I was thinking. That needs to be in there.
If it's okay, just make it a friendly amendment.
Are you okay with her amending her motion?
You can do whatever you want. You have my support. Well, they do a lot of work. I mean, that makes a difference. Seconds count when you get a call out. If this is gonna even save 3 or 4 seconds, could save somebody's life. They're back, whatever. Every little bit counts.
Well, they're gonna be trying to install one in their next ambulance too, right?
I think they want to try the one out and see, and then possibly pull in the second ambulance. So motion, 5,000 funding out of contingency for the ambulance. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. New business resolution 2022-12. A resolution regarding discretionary formula designation for reduced taxation for certain new structures and additions within the city of Beresford.
So the legislature passed a new revision to the discretionary formula. Currently, the city has discretionary formula for 4 categories of properties: industrial, commercial, industrial, and a industrial redevelopment area, and commercial residential, which is considered multifamily of 4 units or more. The formula is that they pay 20% of the value in the first year, 40, 60, 80, and 100% in year 5 thereafter. The legislature during this past session adopted a statute that says if you're going to have a discretionary formula for commercial residential structures, affordable housing structures, or residential structures in a redevelopment neighborhood, it has to follow a different formula, which is 25, not more than 25 in the first and second years, not more than 50 in years 3 and 4, not more than 75 in years 5 and 6, and then 100% in year 7. Currently, if you just went with the classifications of property that you currently have for discretionary formula, you would only do it for the first that's in the resolution before you, which is commercial residential structures with, again, that's 4 or more units. Those would get the revised, instead of the 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, it'd be the 25, 25, 50, 50, 75, 75, 100. Included in the draft, just if the council was so inclined or wanted to, the affordable housing and the residential in a redevelopment neighborhood. And frankly, I don't ever see you creating a redevelopment neighborhood, but you could address it at the time if it is. Well, it's a blighted area that gets redeveloped for housing. You're probably not going to see that in quite a bit bigger cities. So I included in the draft just so it was in front of you for your consideration. If you were just going to leave the discretionary formula for the classes you have today, on page 1, the 2 paragraphs, the one that starts any new affordable housing and any new residential structure, those last 2 would just be deleted and not included in the resolution. The resolution also says that it will maintain the properties that are already classified for the 20, 40, 60, 80. So your industrial structures, commercial structures, those that you currently have classified for discretionary formula will continue with that. So there'll be 2 separate discretionary formulas in play for different types of property. But this was something the legislature did. I don't know why, but I'm assuming the multifamily lobbyists were able to get some approval to try and stimulate that kind of development in the communities. So
we need a motion on this?
Well, you will if you want to change it, because you need to change it for commercial residential. And I guess I just included those other 2 just so it was before you, because if you would want to include them, it has to be that same formula.
So we got to make a motion, have a discussion, is that it? Or can we just?
Well, I think you should discuss whether you want the last 2 categories.
Right.
You want, I mean,
Can we have a discussion before the motion then?
good, yeah, about those,
Sure.
sure.
That's my question to you. What would be the best?
Is there any harm in leaving them in there?
I can just tell you when the last time that this was discussed in any significance, as I recall, council at that time was a little hesitant on affordable housing because they deemed it to be subsidized and were a little concerned about what that might bring. That was the philosophy of the council when that was done, which has been, I'm going to guess somewhere 10 to 15 years ago.
Is this something they would have to apply for, or is it automatic?
It's automatic. It can be waived by the developer. Just by way of example, Hartford is doing their first TIF district, and to make that work, the developer agreed to waive any discretionary formula because they understood that they just couldn't make the TIF cash flow with the discretionary formula of only paying 20% of the tax in the first year. That's for a 80-some unit apartment and twin home complex.
So any developer could, if this was approved, any developer could benefit from the discount.
Yeah, so, I mean, as I recall of commercial residential structures alone, I can recall being built that would qualify because HRC stuff wouldn't send out tax, would be Chris Peterson's apartments out here on East Cedar. He would qualify for the 20, 40, 60, 80. I don't think there's been any others, has it, Drew?
No.
He would retroactively or?
No,
would
he currently
have?
does.
Oh, okay.
He, and anything before July 1 of 2022 is gonna be under the old formula. If he would have built, he builds his next building, for example, if he built a building just like the one he's got, and you adopt this resolution, you get the new 25, 25,
Gotcha.
50, 50, yeah.
But not retroactive.
No,
And that would fall under category 2,
that's the first one.
first one.
Any new commercial residential. Or if someone, you know, just for example, the apartments back behind Mueller's, the old Mueller's, if they did a major remodel or something, they would qualify for the, or if it was an addition to the structure, I guess it'd have to be more than a remodel, it'd have to be an addition if they add done. So.
Then only the addition would qualify, that percentage?
Correct.
Would qualify for the
Yeah.
reduced tax.
What says addition to or renovation?
You're
And, oh, I'm
You're on
looking.
the second one here.
Oh, okay.
And, you know, some cities, I think, are taking the philosophy if someone wants to build one of these other structures or to redevelop a neighborhood, they could come to you and say, we'll do this if you do the discretionary formula and you have it in front of you. It's not automatic, but it's something that could be put into place to accommodate someone if you're satisfied with what the project looks like.
So then we would have an idea of what we're looking at before we,
So it's not automatic, they can come
Right.
to you. It's kind of like a TIF in that regard.
I like that.
I like that idea too.
So if that's the case, then I think you'd probably want to adopt a resolution with just the first, on page 1, just that first indented paragraph, any new commercial residential structure addition, containing 4 or more units.
What are you gonna say?
Well, I think we gotta do what we can to encourage growth, development. So if this helps, as long as we don't box ourselves into a corner on something, we gotta be cautious.
But we're talking about scratching the second and third one.
We can make it by approval,
Yeah, by
and that gives us the discretion.
Then
At any time, if somebody comes.
you can always add
We
the
can just approve that.
classification.
Right.
Yeah.
You'd have to change the classification.
Right.
Okay. I'll go with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Why not? Be progressive without being wide open.
Yeah. It gives us a little bit
I
more.
mean, that's something if someone came and said, hey, you don't have discretionary formulas, they're going to talk to Gary and say, what the council considered, and they put the project in front of you and say, hey, that meets a need, you can do it. So.
Yep.
So what action do you have to take on that? You have to
I
amend
think-
it and come back with an action?
No, it's a resolution, if you just adopt a resolution striking those 2 paragraphs, that would be fine. And then on the top of page 2 of the resolution, on where it says further resolved, it'd be any structure classified pursuant to 10-6-137-5, and scratch out the 6 and 7 there.
Will, what do you think?
I'd like to be progressive here and
you know, I like to see us grow, and if this is an opportunity, I'm all for it, but I agree, I think we need to have, a little control of what goes on. So I'm all for this right here, what we're talking about.
Well, shall I make a motion, resolution 2022-12, resolution regarding discretionary formula designated for reduction of taxation on certain new structures and additions within the city limits, as City Attorney Beresford stated. The two paragraphs are going to be out, and then on the top of page 2, the numbers will be changed according to what he specified.
And also in the very first, it also, on the first page, now therefore, we strike the 6 and 7 on that as well.
And on the first page, also as he specified.
I'll second that.
Motion by Schott and seconded to consider resolution 2022-12, striking number 6 and 7 on page 1, paragraphs 2 and 3 that are indented, and on page 2 for resolve number 6 and 7. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Subsidy drawdown request from the Beresford Community Bus.
Doug makes a motion to approve the subsidy drawdown request from Beresford Community Bus in the amount of $5,000 as budgeted.
Schott second.
Motion by Doug and seconded to approve the subsidy drawdown request from $5,000 for the Beresford Community Bus. And further discussion. Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Opposed? Approved. Is there a motion to accept the retirement letter from Beth Rasmussen?
Doug so moves.
Second.
Motion by Doug and seconded to accept the retirement letter from Beth Rasmussen, Beresford Municipal Telephone Department. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Opposed? Authorize advertising for a full-time telephone general manager assistant.
Doug moves we authorize the advertising for full-time telephone general manager assistant.
Second.
Motion by Doug and seconded to approve the advertising for full-time telephone general manager assistant. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Opposed? Approved. Lease extension request from T-Mobile.
Well, T-Mobile, now Sprint, there's a tower lease that's been in place, for, 20 years? Maybe 25. And they do have the ability to extend the lease. With the request came a request to relocate some of their, equipment up on top of the water tower. Jeff has looked at it and said it's not any problem from their perspective of tower maintenance. Sounds like it's pretty simple, just relocation within the structures that are already there. So it'll be 10 more years of lease, which has an automatic escalator. Is it 3% a year? Right?
Well, they pay $699.60 a month right now.
But there's an escalator built into the lease, so it adjusts annually or
They have their own electrical meter then too.
they have their own
They pay their own electricity.
Yeah.
Can you recall? Yeah. Is it?
So when they move this equipment, is that gonna affect the paint job we got on that thing a few years
No,
ago?
no.
Because they took all of that down when they painted.
Yeah, Jeff has been in contact with them and said it's not gonna create any issue for the tower.
Good deal.
What are they putting in, 5G or something up there?
I don't know.
Water.
If you can understand the terminology. They have more acronyms than the electric department does something. But it's just a continuation of what's there. Like I said, what's just about $700 a month now. That all
Need a
started,
motion on that? Or?
yeah,
So this is authorizing the mayor to sign the lease agreement or what?
right, to the extension.
So Doug makes a motion to authorize the mayor to sign the lease agreement. Lease extension request from T-Mobile to rent the space on top of the water tower. The amendment adds 2 additional 5-year terms to the agreement.
Second.
Motion by Doug and seconded to authorize the signing of a lease extension for T-Mobile for 2 5-year terms. Any further discussion? And all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. We have 2 declarations for surplusing equipment from the telephone department.
So I can make a motion to declare surplus to FO and 150 multiplexer shelves and cards surplus for disposal.
Second.
Motion by Sven and seconded to declare surplus 2 Fujitsu FLM 150 multiplexer shelves for discussion. Hearing none, all in favor, say aye. Opposed? Approved. Another one.
So I can make a motion to declare surplus for Siemens 250 kVA voltage regulators and General Electric grounding transmitters for transfer to another municipality.
Second.
Motion by Sven and seconded to declare surplus 4 Siemens 250 kVA voltage regulators and General Electric grounding transformer for transfer to another municipality. Any further discussion?
Are we selling them to another municipality or just giving them away?
I was fine with just giving them to them.
Land or,
Oh, this is your equipment?
I was just gonna say this one.
It's stuff that we took out of the old Wappo distribution center we had up there. We have no need for them ever. The grounding transformer, it was us and Flanger were the only ones that had them. And theirs got wrecked in the big fall storm, so they could actually use it. And the voltage regulators they can't get right now. And there's, out of the 4, there's one bad, and one we got a brand new spare sitting here.
I mean, no,
They're not worth much.
they owe us one.
I mean, they might want to spend the money on getting them tested to make sure they work before they pay us for them, you know. So I'm fine with giving them to them. So
How long have you had them?
way before my time,
Okay.
old stuff. So
No further discussion. All fair say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. No discussion of travel requests. Is there a motion to authorize payment of bills?
No news, we pay the bills.
I'll second that.
Motion by Doug and seconded to authorize payment of bills. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Do we have a proprietary?
yeah.
most people
Yeah.
Motion by Doug.
Motion to move into executive session for
Second.
proprietary.
Second.
Motion by Tina and seconded. For the executive session, all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed?